123,000 people. That's enough people to fill Sanford Stadium 1.3 times. According to the American Transplant Foundation, 123,000 people in the United States alone are currently on the transplant waiting list for a life-saving organ transplant. Imagine sitting in a hospital room, watching your child fighting for every breath that they take, knowing that the only thing that can save them is an organ transplant. Becoming another number on that list can happen to anyone. So if you're sitting there wondering, does this really apply to me? Yes, it does. I've spent the last 2 weeks researching organ donation and have just recently myself become an organ donor. And today I would like to persuade you to also become an organ donor. First, we will talk about the problems that arise in the world of organ donation, and then we will talk about the solution. But first, let's dive deeper into the problems in the world of organ donation. There are a few problems that arise. The first one, and the main one, is just that there are not enough organ donors. According to an NBC News article written on June 9, 2013 by Jonelle Alicia, she quoted David Fleming, who is the CEO of Donate Life America, saying, "People sometimes believe that organ allocation is the primary issue, when in reality, the crisis is the lack of supply of organs." In that same article, Jonelle Alicia says that only about 45% of adults in the United States are organ donors. 45% of United States adults is just not enough organ donors. Not every registered donor is actually able to donate due to cause of death, health, compatibility, and closeness to a recipient as far as location, according to the University of Michigan Transplant Center. On top of every donor not being able to actually donate, the transplant waiting list is always growing. According to the American Transplant Foundation, another name is added to the list every 12 minutes. With an ever-growing list and a shortage of donors, 21 people die daily waiting for a transplant. Let's meet Alexa. Alexa is described by Donate Life Midwest as a brave and courageous young girl who never lost hope. She was diagnosed with lung disease at age 7, developed pulmonary hypertension at age 12, and was placed on the transplant waiting list. While on the list, she had to be on oxygen 24/7 and couldn't participate in the normal activities that normal children do. In July of 2004, Alexis died waiting for new lungs. She was only 14 years old. Her life could have been saved had a grieving family member who had just lost a loved one had just said yes to donating the lungs. Now that you have a basic understanding of the problems in the world of organ donation, let's talk about the solution. Luckily, there is a solution to the problem, and it's the obvious: become an organ donor. It's so easy. You can do it at the DMV when you change your license, or you can go online to donatelifegeorgia.org/register. Every donor can save 8 lives through organ donation and can enhance over 100 with tissue donation, according to the American Transplant Foundation. There are some myths about organ donation that hinder a lot of people from signing up to be an organ donor. And the first one is that people believe if you're in the hospital and you're hanging on for dear life, that your doctors won't do everything they can to save you if they determine that you are an organ donor, and that's false. Your doctors will still do everything they can to save your life, because the team that saves your life and the transplant team are completely separate. Another myth is that age prevents you from being an organ donor, and that's also not true. Any age can donate organs, but if you're under the age of 18, you need parental consent. And the next biggest myth that people believe is that your family will be charged for the cost of the transplant, and that's not true either. The family of the recipient will be held responsible for the cost of the transplant, and more than likely that's going to be covered by their insurance. So let's meet Brianna. Brianna Barker, according to the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, was a regular 7-year-old girl, and in second grade went to get a physical for school with her school nurse for cheerleading. It was during this physical that her nurse determined she had an irregular heartbeat, and she was sent to specialists. She had myocardiopathy and was placed on the waiting list for a new heart. At her 8th grade dance, which is where she's pictured here, she went to her dance and came home and was sitting at the table doing some hard work and went into cardiac arrest and was placed in the hospital. She was in the hospital for about 10 days on the transplant list and received a new heart. This is her in the hospital as she was waiting after her cardiac arrest. She actually went into cardiac arrest 3 times while waiting. But her transplant was a success, and now she's an A student who enjoys hiking and waterfall climbing, and she does charity work. So today I did my best to persuade you to become an organ donor. We talked about the problems that arise in the world of organ donation and the obvious solution to solve that problem. 123,000 people. You have the opportunity to save some of those lives. What will you do?